Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae, also known as Wildbow. You can read Worm in its original format by visiting parahumans.wordpress.com or donate to Wildbow's Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. This story isn't intended for young or sensitive readers. Readers who are on the lookout for trigger warnings are advised to give Worm a pass. For a complete list, check the description for all of Worm's trigger warnings.
Good morning, Brockton Bay. Did my computer just shut off?
No.
Oh, there we go. It
No,
couldn't take it.
Freeze.
Went full black screen there for a second. It just couldn't handle it. Welcome to the Brockton Bay Book Club.
Alan, it's the last intro.
It is, and I said it, and then all my screens went black.
Your computer was like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not
I was
ready.
like, it would. It would.
Dragon took over.
I'm so
I
sorry.
was gonna say, Dragon shut down. Pandora took over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Saint.
Oh, yeah.
Saint's
Secrets to
fucking
tell,
with me
and she
here.
doesn't want us.
She's like, shh.
She doesn't want us to share them.
Is it the end of the world?
I'm going to
as
say it
we
anyway,
know it?
Dragon. I know that you peg Colin.
Oh,
Wait, what?
We know.
We all.
Imp's asking the real questions here.
Mm.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome.
We've done it.
We've done it. Welcome. We're here. We've finished Worm.
Gosh.
Take a breath. A year and change ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
This thing's long as hell.
It's a long ass book. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well
Very
done.
proud of us. I'm
Hey.
very proud of
Wow.
us.
Ow.
If
We've come
the
so
reader, stuck with it, you should be proud of yourself too. It's an
Yeah,
accomplishment.
Yeah, look at
to
you
read one,
guys.
Truly.
Ah, wow.
Mhm.
1,650,000 words ish long. That
Hot
is.
dog.
Quite a few books.
Speaking of numbers,
I was
I have
about to
some
ask.
questions for you guys. Just a couple. I was doing some math before this,
Mm.
which is dangerous. Without looking, how many episodes, including this one, do we have?
Are we counting the Brockton Bay Book Club recaps?
Oh.
And
Yeah, are we counting everything?
Everything,
on,
Everything?
including this
Okay.
episode.
How
Is
many?
this
there's-
episode 69?
oh my
More guesses,
God.
more guesses, more
Wait,
guesses.
Is
okay.
it-
So wait, there's 32 arcs.
Hold on.
How many arcs are there?
There's
Hold on.
30
Episode 70.
arcs and
30
the
arcs plus N.
And the
so
epilogues.
31 arcs,
That's
basically.
31.
yeah.
So that's
Four.
at least
62.
62. I'm
Then we
gonna
had
say
5.
like 70. I'm gonna say this is 71. That's gonna be my.
I think it might be episode 69.
I'm
just gonna
it
go with it
sounds
'cause
like
it's funny.
episode 69, I think.
I
Dang.
mean,
We count
I
the
would
two-parters
I
we
would
did.
love
Michael,
for it
if
to
I'm
be
wrong, just delete
69.
one of our episodes we don't like.
Yeah.
Pick one of the
Our
half
intro
ones,
episode might
like-
need to go.
Yeah, like somewhere in the middle, like arc
Yeah.
18, probably.
Yeah,
It's
just
less
pluck it
than
out.
that.
Is it
less?
less?
we got to record more.
Really?
Okay.
Jacob,
Oh no,
Jacob,
because at the beginning, remember at the beginning we were combining
Oh right,
the book
right.
club and
Yep.
the dissecting was
Oh,
one episode.
numbers.
shoot.
Right.
Okay,
Oh,
throws
shit,
everything
there goes my
up in
math.
the air. Yep.
54.
No, 63.
Oh, 50,
Wait, no, it's first. We
Oh,
did
so-
what? First 8?
61,
Ooh.
62.
All right, too late.
Maybe 6.
I know,
Yes.
I know.
66.
Help us out.
63.
Oh,
66.
66.
Help us out, Michael.
66.
66.
Wait, we're-
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so
close.
I'm hearing
Pretty
we
close.
need to make a couple more episodes to get us
Yeah.
to 69
To get to-
before we
Exactly.
start our next project.
Now, Michael,
Well,
are you
Patreon
counting the
episodes.
Patreon episodes?
No, we're not. We're not counting those.
Okay.
It'd be too
Just the
many.
ones
at
that
that
are
point.
public.
It
Yeah,
could
yeah.
be episode 69 if you're a
It could
patron.
be. We've
It's
definitely
true.
done
Could
more than
be.
66 episodes
Yeah.
of content.
That's amazing. Do we
That's
know how
pretty
many
crazy.
total hours that is? Because that's
That
gotta
was
be
my next.
Mm.
okay.
One time.
Oh, the next question.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have not including this episode, obviously. I
Yeah.
have the total time and the average time of each episode. I've already asked
Oh,
Alan and Jacob the average
I've
time.
completely
Can
forgotten.
I-
have no
and I'm
Can I
memory.
use a
pretty sure they've
calculator?
forgotten it.
Can I use a
Plus,
calculator?
we have done more episodes, so that number has changed anyways. So
True.
Okay.
let's do average
So
first.
total time.
May I use
So this
a
is
calculator?
this is episode. Remind me of the
Yes.
number. This is number
We've got
66, right?
66 episodes, including
So we've done
this one.
65 episodes.
Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah, I'm gonna do some
Don't
math real
look-
quick.
Okay, do math.
Yeah, I'm doing
Don't
math.
look
I'm
at
doing
anything.
math. Don't
All
worry.
right.
Don't worry.
Okay.
My guess
5 times,
is
like
I think
Yeah.
we've hit about 180 recording hours.
Hold on. I'm gonna also do.
Okay.
Cool.
It's locking
Ooh.
it in.
record like finished edited recorded or actual raw recorded that Michael has had to edit profusely.
Well, in that case, it's like
1,500.
1,500. But I'll
Not
go
including
140.
Not including the ones that haven't come out when we've done this. It's edited hours.
So I'm
But
gonna do.
It's pretty
edited
bang
hours.
close to
I'm gonna
edited
lower my
hours.
guess actually. I'm gonna say 160.
I'm saying 175.
Wait, we're
140.
doing hours.
Total hours.
Yeah, total hours.
Okay, hold on.
I have it broken down hours, minutes, seconds.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Somebody say 165.
I'm saying
All right.
175 hours and 30 minutes.
I'm going 165.
I think I went 160.
Jacob did
140.
140.
I was on the low side.
Okay. It's 119.
Oh,
119.
Wow.
Okay, that's less than I thought, but that makes
You're
sense.
always
119.
complaining about how long we go. It's not even
20 minutes and 11 seconds. So there you go.
wow.
That's 4 days, almost 5 days of content.
We talk
4
a lot.
days, 23 hours, 20 minutes, and 11 seconds of content.
How many
Wow.
days of content did you say?
4 days and 23 hours.
Like a work week.
4 days and 23 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, a work
Dang.
week, non-stop work week. That's
Yeah, nonstop.
never mind.
No sleep.
The
no sleep.
average time? Average episode time for both
Well, then-
dissecting and book club.
like
not
an
including this
hour.
episode.
hour 40.
All right. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say an hour and
42.
48 minutes.
This one I also have to the seconds if you want
An
to do
hour
seconds.
and
Yeah,
69
I do want to
minutes.
know.
I think
1
I think
hour,
we talked about
48
this
minutes.
before, and
1
Jacob
hour,
and I
48 minutes, and
literally like
16 seconds.
Jacob and I split the difference last time.
I know.
when
I'm
we
trying to
guessed.
remember. I
I
have
don't
no memory
remember
of
what it
we
was
said.
though. So I'm gonna go. It's like, is it like an hour and? I don't know. Is it
Ooh.
like? Was it an hour and 39 minutes? Maybe the average time, or was it? I can't remember what it was.
Make your decisions.
Hit us, Michael.
I'm gonna go 70 minutes. How much?
Nick, an hour, 48 minutes, and 29 seconds. Holy crap.
Wow.
Look at that.
Wow.
Congrats. Oh my God.
Hey,
Nailed it.
Wow.
Wow. You did a wow.
Wow. Hot dog. Hot
Yeah,
diggity dog.
okay. I did do some math on that one.
You did good.
I did
so.
also, and I was off, but
But
teacher
yeah,
brain.
very fun. Man.
wow.
Yeah, there you go. Those are my questions.
And
We've
our
done a lot.
listeners listen
Nice.
to almost probably maybe sure kind of all of that. Right?
It's true.
Right,
Yeah,
A
guys?
percentage of it.
Listening to this, they
Right,
probably
guys?
did.
Now, average minutes of the podcast. I actually remember recording.
Yeah.
Let's go
3
with the
minutes.
last 9 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. How long have we been recording right now? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
9
don't
minutes,
remember the
2
last 9
seconds.
minutes,
All
I'll
right.
be honest.
Well, yeah, no, I lost some
No, it
minutes
was
in
good.
there.
It's been fun. It's definitely been something I look forward to on my
Yeah,
evenings.
same.
Oh,
so,
absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Hanging out with you guys and just sharing worm with anybody who's willing to hang out with us. So
Oh, for real.
Fun story to share.
very exciting. Yeah.
It's a good one.
We tell them what's next.
We should tell them
Time.
what's next. We've got some fun stuff for you guys.
Michael, I mean, do you want to make
Nothing
the
worth
announcement?
expanding.
So
we're not
We're breaking up. Everybody's
Ward.
going
we're
solo.
not no, we're just changing a little.
Ward exists. We are going to be
Ward does
reading it.
exist.
Word does
And,
exist.
expect us around April 1st. Not I think April Fool's
Not a
joke.
joke.
Yeah,
Not a joke.
Unless we're not
Just
ready by
happens
then.
to
It's
unfortunately
Unless we're not ready by
align.
then haha, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
then
The
we'll-
dates could change. Things could change. But around April, we'll be doing some live stream content. We're actually going to be switching to our YouTube channel primarily. But fear not, because we'll still have the full podcast format version available every week. But instead of getting together in this format, like we're doing now, recording everything beforehand, we're going to go live every week. Well, every other week, whenever we actually go live and discuss Ward, just like we've been doing now. And then
Mhm.
I'll take that and put it out in podcast form afterwards. But we just figured we wanted to do something different, something more interactive, something with a little less editing, a little more engagement with the fans,
Mhm.
those that we have who have made it this far. So yeah, we're really excited.
Well, and
Yeah,
one
it
of the
should be
big
fun.
things that we've always kind of come back to in these episodes is like, oh man, we get some really good comments or feedback or questions like, you know, 2-3 weeks after we recorded the episode.
Yeah.
And by that point, like we can't go back and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So now we
Yeah.
can actually discuss it in
Yeah.
real time with you all.
It's like
It can be,
it's like a worldwide book club now.
yeah,
I'm so
exactly.
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
It can be great.
So you could read along
It'll be
with
fun.
us. Pop in, we'll figure out exactly what the format is. It's going to have to change a little bit so we can get
And
your
I-
guys' input, but
Yeah.
expect us.
I think for
continue.
3 of us, right, it's going to be a totally first time read.
Oh yeah.
Is that right?
I've never read Ward
Oh.
before. Only
And Michael
never
too,
Worm.
if you're reading Michael, but
Maybe.
no,
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
maybe.
I'll be vetting all of the thousands,
All the
and
comments.
thousands
All the
of people
comments?
talking to
That's
us.
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
for the
Yeah.
best. I don't know if I need stream of consciousness of someone talking
Yeah.
at me
It'll
Yeah,
just
from
be
the
me
comments.
fighting
That
if
might
I
raise
look
my
directly
anxiety
at
a
it.
lot.
Yeah, we might have
Yeah.
a special Alan fights the commenters segment.
Well, the
see.
credits roll. You can pick your fight with me, and I'll just
I was
yell
gonna
at
say,
yell at the
because
screen.
I can then like get off, go to bed,
Yeah,
brush my
yeah.
teeth, and Alan
Yeah,
can
yeah,
stay
yeah,
up
yeah.
late fighting, and I'll just
Right.
sleep
No, you
nice
just,
and
like,
peacefully.
Fantastic.
It's just me screaming at the chat, and then you just like slowly dragging to mute as like the credits roll, and it's just
Yeah.
still me like.
Oh
Exactly.
gosh.
But yeah, we're excited for this. Hopefully you're not losing anything really. It's
Oh, no.
just you have the ability to come join us. The only thing that'll be different is we'll probably switch it to every other week.
Mhm.
Just so that we can have time to read. You guys can also have time to read. And on the off weeks, if you're a patron, you'll be getting other things from us too, because we want to treat our patrons well. So
Yeah.
Yep.
that's the new plan.
Yeah, and I think that the release schedule would probably change for the normal podcast. So if you wanted to catch the video afterwards or the podcast, I think that'd probably come out Wednesday, Michael.
Yeah, go
Or-
follow us on our YouTube just to stay fully informed.
Yeah.
And then we'll decide on actual days later. I think we're just gonna make sure we have plenty of time to take the live stream format and put it on Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. We'll see exactly how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
It's new.
And I know
so
a lot
we'll-
of you were
we'll figure it out.
asking, what is happening to Dissecting Worm? Is there going to be a Dissecting Ward? And the answer is probably not. Jacob, the main
Probably.
reason that part of the podcast exists is has not read it, so this would be a first time going through. And it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to. I mean, you can adapt without looking forward, but it makes it difficult.
Yeah.
However, I would argue if you like that kind of content, continue to listen to the Brockton Bay Book Club, because as a book, I think Ward needs a lot more editing and adjustments than Worm did. and we will definitely discuss that from a regular writing standpoint rather than trying to adapt it to television.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And we can definitely insert scenes, of like, this is how I turn this, like,
This
I
is
could
how I
imagine
see this
this
in
as
my
a
head.
scene, or,
Oh yeah, yeah.
we've talked about fan casting and stuff like that on the
Mhm.
regular
yeah.
podcast.
Oh, you got to
so,
keep fan casting.
that's just part of
Yeah.
it. And we could always do the podcast within a podcast. If Jacob and I need to
Always.
have a quick aside, we
I was
can
gonna
always
say
do that.
the Brockton Bays live on. It just
Yeah,
might
for
not
sure.
be Brockton Bays.
Brockton Bays, buy
Yeah.
your merch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Merch.
We got
You
merch.
know about it. We have merch. Alan is modeling our beautiful sweatshirts. The Brockton Bays
So
sweatshirt, just a white comfy sweatshirt with the logo on the front. And we also have a t-shirt with the Brockton Bay Book Club logo on the front. All the links are where links are, and right below our beautiful faces. So
You want to
you
show
can
yourself
find
to
them.
be a real nerd? Get the book club book, t-shirt. You want to show that you're a real
Cultured individual
Brockton Bay.
sweatshirt. Yeah.
Perfect.
Gotta get the sauce.
I think that's all the announcements.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think so.
Probably.
Trying to think if there's anything else.
Yeah, this is our episode in review of the entire show, which is
We're
crazy.
gonna look back, all the highlights and lowlights.
And we also have some special questions from our patrons. They have
We do.
given us quite a list.
My
So
gosh,
we're going to hit up some of these
Get some good questions.
and just discuss.
So thankful to our patrons. You too
Oh.
could be a patron. It's not too late.
It's
Got
true.
special
Never too late.
episodes
We
and
have a bunch of different
uh,
tiers. If your budget is minimal, if you got a large budget, we have tiers for that too.
We got
Please pay us.
Yeah.
It's really just to pay Michael. None of us.
Yeah.
None of us are making any money here.
Yeah.
Any money made is going straight to Michael for his amazing producing skills. Also, I think we just round of applause for Michael because could not have done this without him. Literally, this podcast would never have existed.
Nope.
Not
Speaking
even a
of
little bit.
when this podcast existed, mayhaps we take a trip down memory lane to how we formed this podcast in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Might
my
be kind of
gosh.
fun.
Yeah.
I don't even
So
I don't
I don't even
remember.
remember.
this podcast started. I will take credit for this, but it was a conversation
you
Alan
deserve
and I had.
credit for this.
However, it started, I guess, probably a year before we recorded anything, because I watched a YouTube video with 20 views at the time, where two guys, I'm pretty sure they were high, drunk, or both, went and did a tier list of every worm character. And it was like a 6-hour YouTube video.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
watched the whole thing. And it's not good, but it's great. You gotta watch it. And as I got to the end, I realized that I didn't remember 90% of these characters, despite loving Worm. And at the same time, I was also watching a video, and I'm not going to say the channel because I forget which channel it is, but it's a film editing channel talking about adapting works. Specifically, they were talking about Mass Effect. And thinking at the same time as I'm watching these two videos, there's nobody talking about adapting Worm in any capacity. So I go to my good buddy Alan, who I also know loves adapting works and Worm. And we have this conversation about, hey, we should read Worm and talk about adapting. It'd be kind of cool to think about the pros and the cons and the challenges and what it would look like, yada yada. And then as we're talking about it, we're like, we should record it. We could do a podcast. It'd be kind of cool. And then I think it's sometime in that conversation we had the realization that was well, we'd also need to reread it because I don't remember shit.
Yeah,
That
Wormnesia. Wormnesia hits hard. I've
Yeah.
forgotten half of it already, and I just read it.
Yeah,
Hey.
I know.
It's
Cue
long.
conversations with a few other Worm fans that we've known, and Brockton Bay Book Club was born.
You tricked all your
I'm
friends into
wow.
reading it for
That's
I did, it was
years.
all
true.
over
Isn't
True.
that what it's all about?
Isn't that what friendship is for, really?
Tricking your
All that
friends
to
into reading
say,
literature.
Alan, at some point we have to do our own tier list of every character in Worm.
Oh,
absolutely.
Lord.
For those patrons
For the
have already
patrons.
gotten the Smash or Pass Brockton Bay.
Oh, that's right. We did do that.
tier
didn't
list.
We did do
That
that.
was
Yeah.
a thing we
not tier
created.
list, but it's a Smash
Oh,
or Pass
no.
for
We
Brockton
did-
Bay. So that's a little hint teaser of content you could be
Oh.
getting if
Uh,
If you're a
you were
patron.
It was really funny, but also I don't remember half of that list.
Oh boy.
I mean,
It's
It'll come
mostly
up.
I mean,
Smash.
I think
It was.
it would be. You know what we should do is we should review that video and figure out like who smashed who and who has like the most smashes of all. Like
Oh,
I
it's
know it's
Jacob.
probably Jacob.
Jacob,
But-
you
Yeah,
didn't-
Jacob.
you
for
wasn't
sure.
sure
I think Jacob said no
Smashes
to like
everyone.
maybe 3 people.
I was gonna say you can count on one hand. I said
Smashes
no
per
to.
capita.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
But
Oh.
so maybe we reverse that, right? We do like, okay, who didn't you go for?
Who's the pickiest?
Now defend
That would be-
yourself.
that'd be more-
Defend yourself. Oh no.
Oh man,
Oh god.
you can
Everybody-
go.
Everybody does a hear me
that was
out.
fun though.
Oh
That was fun.
Uh,
Oh yeah, we need to do a worm hear me out cake or whatever.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord.
there you go. Yeah,
That'll,
Any
we can
excuse
put
to
that
eat
at the
cake.
end of this. At the end of
Yeah.
these questions.
Yeah.
there you go. If,
Yeah,
if we have time.
Oh no.
We have a bunch of
I think we have
questions,
more to
lovely
get to.
questions submitted by the patrons.
Yeah, we do.
Should we do
Yeah,
a question?
I honestly, like for my part with the podcast starting, I don't even remember exactly the conversation, but I just remember the idea, and I was like, "Yeah, it sounds like fun." And now suddenly, my Tuesday nights have just become monopolized, and it's great.
Yep.
I was about to say this.
Regret
I don't
nothing.
mind. I don't mind my Tuesdays being overtaken by this podcast. I don't mind
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
been fun.
I mean, it's great. I read Worm the first time a long time ago, like about actually about 8 years ago, and it was really, do you need a reason to reread Worm? Sometimes yes.
Yeah.
And this was that reason. Oh, Bunty has made
I definitely
Every time.
I definitely wouldn't have if I hadn't been on the podcast. Like it was 9 years ago for me,
Yep.
and I remembered enjoying it, but I never really thought, this is something I'll go through again, considering
Yeah.
how long it is.
really.
So yeah, no, I had no plans to reread.
It's
Worm.
long. I mean,
It's
it takes
I
a
mean-
while.
Like I mean, yeah, it's like you do it, and then you're like, cool, I did it.
I did
wanted to
it.
read more of Wildbow's works, but I
Yeah.
got distracted and forgot, and so getting back into it has been fun. It's been inspiring for me as well, getting me back into doing some writing too. So that's been a pleasure, and yeah, it's been a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Been a very good time.
All right.
Should we get into some questions?
Yeah. Let me cross out
Yeah.
that first question,
hmm
and I think we can just each pick a random question to read and just go from there, so we don't have to have one narrator this time. Little more
Yeah,
fun.
sure.
Yeah, good idea.
Oh, Bunty, you are.
So
wants to go first?
pick the first one?
Oh man, we have so many good questions here.
There are
do.
some
Tangle a
fantastic
cat.
questions.
I can throw one down
Do
that
it.
I
Go for
thought
it.
was interesting.
Go,
This
do
is
it.
from our patron Vic. The question is simply: did the Brockton Bay Book Club survive all of Worm? So the reason I wanted to bring this one up is because I was doing some Googling and trying to figure out some numbers. So Brockton Bay, like I'm trying to figure out averages, right? Like what are the odds that we survive Worm?
Right.
Brockton Bay has a civilian population of around 350,000 once Leviathan attacks. From there, it fluctuates greatly throughout the story. I couldn't find exact numbers though for casualties. I think that was the thing that I felt like I was missing. Because I'm like, I can't get the numbers on casualties. But assuming, we could say, like thinking about the big major events that affect Brockton Bay, we've got probably the first big one would be Bakuda, then Leviathan, of course, is the big one. Slaughterhouse 9 after that. And then post Slaughterhouse 9, I really think the only other major crisis we hear about is it getting hit by Scion.
I mean,
Mhm.
the echidna fight doesn't affect a lot of civilians, right? It's more capes.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the echidna fight doesn't affect a whole lot of civilians. It's a big event, results in the portal, which affects a lot of people, but not. It's not a catastrophic event, right? Like I wouldn't count it as. While I think inherently you're just more likely to die in the worm universe than in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that the echidna event would count like a Leviathan fight, right? Where it
Yeah.
dramatically increased the casualty count.
Right.
Right.
So those would be the big ones, right? Bakuda, Leviathan, Slaughterhouse 9, Scion. And so I was trying to think about it. Okay, like let's say this. I would say maybe like 3% of the population was affected by Bakuda at most. Like not very high number.
Yeah, I think that's.
Okay.
I mean, that's probably a little
I'm
high.
gonna
but
agree
yeah.
with your numbers no matter what, because
Yeah.
sure. I have not done the math.
So I'm doing math now. Actually, I think that's probably way too high.
Yeah, it's
I was
pretty
gonna say
high.
I was gonna say that
that's
seems
a lot.
a lot.
Okay. So we'll say 0.5%. That's still 1,700 people affected by Bakuda. Even that seems okay. We're just gonna count out. We're not gonna count Bakuda. I don't think you killed that many people.
It's Leviathan and Scion.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's Leviathan and Scion. So let's say that 5% of the population was killed by Leviathan. That
Jeez.
is 17,500 people. And I don't know that it was more than that. Like that's a lot.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. So we'll say 5%, right? Were killed by Leviathan. That means divided by.
More math.
Most of them were
math.
evacuated, and most of the combat was between
people.
heroes and Leviathan. Like they, were antagonistic towards each other. So it kind of kept
I'm thinking
away
more
from
of like
civilian population.
the shelters that got attacked, maybe, or the people
That's
who weren't able to
true.
evacuate. I mean, 17,000 is still a lot of people.
That is a lot.
But I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't get a clean number on how many people were affected. So I feel like all that to say, if we are just normal citizens of Brockton Bay, we live in the most average place in Brockton Bay, I feel like we have a pretty good chance of surviving Leviathan.
I think so too. Also, I don't think any of us. Well, Jacob lives in
would be
a
done
downtown type area space. The rest of us do not live in downtown type area spaces.
Yeah, we'd be in the hills, right? Where what's his name is
The
like
suburbs.
saying like, "Oh, I was there for Leviathan," but all the people are like, "No, you weren't. You're not a real Leviathan survivor."
Yeah,
No, that's us.
So Jacob, your odds maybe are a bit lower, but I think we all have pretty decent odds just as regular people surviving Leviathan, right?
Yeah, I have a pretty bad track record with avoiding harm in general. So I made this joke when the question was asked on the Discord, but like most likely I decided to go snorkeling that day. So it was just a bad day. Yeah.
Do you snorkel, Jacob?
Oh, not at all. But it would have been the day I tried. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna snorkel.
You know what? Today's the day.
Today is the day.
Take me out in that boat, sea captain.
So I think with that too, right? We could probably count in Leviathan's casualties the aftermath of it, right? Like people dying of disease or starvation or crumbling property damage, stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So 17,000 is still a lot, but maybe so maybe like 10,000 people died at most. And that still seems a bit high even for Leviathan. Then, because they did have that warning, then we get to the Slaughterhouse 9, which again, I don't think was a very large number. It's more just, were you happening to be in the wrong place at the right time?
Right.
So I feel like for this, the most fair way that we should all do it is
Oh no.
we should all roll a D1000, which you'll have to Google because there's no
I'm so
real
excited.
one, right?
I'm so excited. Any
Just
reason
give you
to
a
roll
1
a
in
die.
1,000 chance.
A 1
you get-
in 1,000.
And here's what it is, because it's a Slaughterhouse 9. If you get a 999, you die.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Roll D1000. Here we go.
I'm safe.
Ooh, safe. Okay.
Oh,
Jacob,
I got
you
904,
got to roll
but
yours
I'm
with
good.
disadvantage, though.
I got.
It's okay, Jacob, you don't have to roll if you don't want to, since you're already dead from Leviathan.
That's
I'm already
true. You
dead.
did die
I'll die
already.
again.
I'm safe.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So again,
324.
I feel like that's like random chance, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, now here's
We
the big
make it,
one.
and of course, our patrons would all make it.
How much of the
Of course,
population?
Well,
we
naturally.
protect them.
Yes, of course. Now, the biggest question, of course, with this would then be, how much of the population did Scion kill? Because I feel like that could be as much as 50%, if not more.
I'd honestly go. I'd go 30% at most.
30%? Okay.
Depending on
'Cause-
how he did his thing, whether it
I
was
mean, if you live in the
'cause, like,
UK,
so the UK, he
Yeah.
fire like he just bombs that. Like he shoots a spirit bomb over there, it
Yeah.
blows that up.
yeah.
But then much like the Purity like laser runs, like he starts doing different things to different areas. And from the sound of it, like Brockton Bay is in shambles, but like stuff's still going on there. So I'm gonna go 30%, which is still a wild number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's still, 100,000 people.
It
crazy.
is. So, yeah, 30% is about 105,000 people. I was trying to look up how many people died in the Gold Morning, in Brockton Bay specifically. Apparently, something like 1 million capes fought against Scion, is what one source was saying. And quite a few of them died. That sounds high, though. I don't know.
That does
that
sound
may have
really
been
high.
yeah. So let's see. Portal. There's really not much regarding. Yeah, there's really not much regarding how much it would have done.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say that like a 30% chance you get just annihilated by Scion. I would add maybe another 10% to that, just for like, again, those side casualties. Like, you weren't directly killed by Scion,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
you got trampled by people trying to get to the portal. You got,
Mm-hmm.
you were left in Brockton Bay without supplies, whatever, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, then we have a 40% chance of survival. I think let's just roll a 1d4. If you roll a 1, you're dead. That's only
Roll a
25%. Don't get mad at me, math people.
Wait, hold on.
Actually, no. We can
There's
do a
a-
d5.
There's a
ahead.
Reddit breakdown of numbers, by the way.
Really?
Oh,
I
this could
couldn't
be-
find that.
It,
helpful.
it says
Hit me
here,
with it.
Scion was able to kill about 50% of all humans and capes on Earth bet. And the quote is from Tattletale, "We lost just about half of everyone." Tattletale said, "Maybe more, but communicating's hard right now. Don't exactly have the infrastructure." Meaning Scion
Ooh.
killed about
Mm.
75,000 parahumans and half the global human population by then.
Wow.
Okay,
So-
So it's a
Yeah.
flip
coin.
a coin.
And
So it's
then
a
it
coin
says,
flip, yeah.
and then it says here, the final result, Scion killed 99% of all parahumans in existence within roughly 1 week.
Wow. Okay, so flip a coin. If you get heads, you live. If you get tails, you're
Okay.
dead.
All right. Wait, do I
could
have a
never
coin? I
take
used to have
me.
a pirate coin on my desk, and I don't know.
You could
if it's
never
still
take
here.
me.
Okay, hold on.
Heads.
I have died.
Okay, so wait, what is
Sorry,
what
Nick,
is it
you will
supposed?
be
I'm not
remembered.
looking at the screen.
Yeah.
Is it heads?
Flip a
heads
coin.
you're
Heads, you live. Tails, you die.
Ah.
alive.
I've died again.
Tails.
Was
Oh
it
my
just me and
God.
Tails
Alan?
died every time.
Alan, is it you and
Yeah,
me?
it's just you and Alan.
It's you and me.
So me and Alan and the cats and the patrons all survived.
Obviously, the cats are included. The
cats are
grandfather into the
included.
coin flip.
Oh yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
cats are with us.
Yeah.
Do
Well, there you go.
Wow.
deaths cancel each other out?
That's
You
not
dead
Or
how
have I
Deaths
death
just
works,
died
Jacob.
twice?
No, here's what happened, Jacob. You triggered, and then Leviathan killed you. Gleistig
Oh, no!
Wenye got your shard,
Yeah.
and then sacrificed it fighting Scion.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yep.
Oh,
So there we go.
There we go.
But no. Here, even better. But your body survived after the trigger when you got killed. So
Yeah.
Pretender takes it over.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
And
There
then
you
it
go. So you live on in a new form.
yeah, and then it gets killed
Anyways.
again, and then absorbed by Classic Wendy for a third death.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
that was my pick for a question. I thought that was a fun little thought experiment.
that's a good one. Yeah.
But obviously we would survive. I mean, we have protagonist, main character.
Yeah, obviously.
Plot armor. Like, we're good.
You gotta read Ward.
Us?
Yeah.
Oh.
Plot armor.
You got that
We're
plot
so-
armor, baby.
All
Hardest
right.
armor of all.
Somebody
Listen.
tell reality that, please.
Oh.
Somebody tell
Fine.
the narrator, the DM of reality, my plot
Yeah.
armor's not working.
I'd like to change
Is that
classes.
just God?
please.
It's just God.
Hey, look.
Praying to God, but starting it every time with "Hey DM." So
yeah. So
DM.
can I get
There's this
advantage
thing I
on this
wanna
next
try.
roll?
like advantage on it.
That's exclusively how I'm going to perform.
From now on.
Our DM that art above.
Oh my gosh.
Blessed
No,
be thy
I
rolls.
swear. No. Mm-mm. Someone's going to end up asking, would you say the blessing over Thanksgiving dinner in front of like your family and my family and all the extended family? And he's going to go, Daddy
Yo,
DM.
Big Daddy DM.
Daddy DM.
Daddy DM.
And they're all going to look at me and I'm
Yep.
going to have to explain, you know what? It's fine.
We
I
pray
can already,
for
I'm already getting
advantage
nightmares.
on us.
I'm already getting flashbacks.
No, it's
Even
funny
when
you
they
say
give
that
us
though, Hannah,
our
'cause-
disadvantage.
yeah, my wife does the same thing. She's like, "Listen, you do weird stuff, and everybody comes to me."
That's exactly how it works. No one wants to go to Alan to ask because they're afraid of the answer. So they come
As
to
they
me
should
because
be.
they know I'll say it nicely. I'll be like, well, you know how Alan is. He's just very picky about his friends and he doesn't like any of you. So, you know, he can say whatever he wants.
True. All right, that was my question.
All right.
I'll throw it over to who wants it.
Fantastic
Reel there for a
question.
second.
Here, I got. This is another quick, kind of funny one, but I like it a lot. Do you think there's cryptocurrency in EarthBet? And which worm characters do you think invest in cryptocurrency? In parentheses, most definitely Cody,
Absolutely.
which
Cody.
is correct, but obviously, we just have to put it out there. Obviously, it's Uber and Leet peddling meme coins.
Oh,
Say
absolutely.
Ooh, they for sure.
They have a
their own.
QR code and all the
Oh
bottom of their
Oh my
videos.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can invest in, what would it be called? Like Uber coin?
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, yeah, Leet.
Because we know
Leet
that,
coin.
you know,
Leet
there's
coin.
not Leet coin. No.
There's not
No,
Leet.
Leet
Uber
coin would be
definitely
perfect
made
because you
the
can
name
only
for it.
make one token.
Yeah.
And then the rest just deteriorate.
That's right. So it's just like
Oh, man.
NFTs normally.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh, that's funny.
I honestly, with all of the tinkers,
It's Tinkers.
Yeah.
it's always tinkers, right? As Taylor would say, man, fucking tinkers.
Yep.
Here's the thing, right? I feel like cryptocurrency with tinkers would be even more difficult to regulate and secure than it is now. Like, it's already kind of problematic.
Yeah, right.
Just imagine you've got like 1,000 super hackers all across the world who are eager to make money as easily as they
Yeah.
can. And if it does exist, the number man controls it anyway.
Oh
So
my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so the real
Yeah.
question, we're going to narrow this down. Do you think that Colin is into or against cryptocurrency?
I feel like he's hard against it.
yeah,
I think he's
actually, for some reason, that's my feeling.
I think he's a cold,
be against it.
hard American dollar purist. It just strikes me as a guy who probably is Colin's the kind of guy like, despite all the tech that he has on him, he pulls cash out of his wallet when he's buying groceries. You know,
See,
An
I
exact
feel like it's the
coin,
opposite,
too.
right? Like he's the
Just like a little coin purse.
everybody was getting conspiratorial about people putting, like barcodes, like credit cards in their
Yeah.
Oh
hand.
my god, yeah.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
Colin, right? He's like Apple Pay, like
Yeah.
just
No, but that's how he does it at every gas station.
yeah.
Yep. He just
I agree. I think he would be against cryptocurrency.
cryptocurrency.
It's
though,
one
I
of
think,
those
yeah.
where like he comes out the other end where like he's smart enough that he's not into cryptocurrency at all because he knows too much about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he's like, all of his electronics he built, and he doesn't share except with Dragon.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
like,
Yeah,
he's very,
Yeah. Doesn't like that
as-
blockchain.
he does not like
Yeah.
that sharing nonsense.
Yeah, good point. Yep.
None of that.
Good
So I was
point.
looking it up. Bitcoin was invented in 2009, which is our first big cryptocurrency, which actually does kind of line up perfectly with Worm's
That does.
timeline because Worm takes place in like 2011, 2012
When could you
So-
order pizza with Bitcoin?
with Bitcoin.
that was
that was the
like
first- the first big
2011,
sale.
12.
I want to say 11
right
or 12.
around. Yeah.
You know what I would say too? You know who would be into it as well? I bet if it did exist, would be Tattletale or Regent.
Tattletale would
Probably
be
both of them
pumping and dumping like
working
a mother.
together.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Tattletale.
Yeah, Tattletale would be like doing pump and dump schemes.
Oh my
Regent would
God.
just have a bunch of lackeys under his control, just like just doing it for him.
Okay.
Yes.
Tattletale. This is actually a great point. Tattletale's the reason that the Watchdog group exists, because
Who are they again?
that's
Yeah.
the
Who?
independent like organization making sure that people don't not independent. I don't want to say that. It's the part of the PRT, I believe, that monitors financial and
Finances.
political.
Yeah.
Yes,
The number man was
Uh,
part of it for a while. Oh, Accord was part of it. No,
Accord was part of it for a while.
Yeah,
Yes.
to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
to make
okay.
sure that like parahumans aren't like
Messing with the
skimming
stock
and
market.
making.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Tattletale's on Robinhood all day.
Yeah,
Just-
absolutely.
Just eating Cheetos and running scams.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we're gonna drop those real quick. I know that's about to
Oh yeah.
bite it.
Gosh, she just like
Yep.
waits and
Yep.
then's like, now.
You know, I do, as a side note, I do appreciate that Wildbow definitely asked himself the question, if I have this many precogs and tinkers, how has the world economy not collapsed yet?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I got to address that at some point. Somebody's going to ask
Oh
me.
good. Someone. Yeah.
I like to
I
think that
love
there's
it.
just one tinker in some corner of the world whose trigger was just like financial security and is just working overtime, making sure the world doesn't fall apart. It's
Yeah.
just in the back, just stressed out of his
It's
It's
like
the
the
mind.
number
equivalent
man.
of like
It's-
financial door
it's- yeah, that
makers.
is the
Oh yeah, no,
number
I guess it is
That
the
is
number.
the number
I guess
man.
it is the number man, isn't it? Yeah. Literally,
We
that's just,
assume that his trigger
Yeah.
event involved King, but we also know that Jax doesn't. So, like, maybe
Here's-
he just watched
know what
the
it was?
2008 housing crisis.
King threw a bunch of receipts at him and said, balance my checkbook. And he just panicked.
yeah.
Balance, bitch. And he was like,
You just couldn't do it.
Yeah, balance my checkbook or die. And he's like, oh, God.
He did his
It's-
taxes
it's-
wrong and owed money and triggered.
No! It's literally tax
That'll
season
do
right
it.
now. Don't
That'll definitely do it.
Do it.
that other-
Nick, I
That'll
like
do it.
yours. It's the Jack slash triggering Riley all over again.
Oh,
Or he's like, oh no, I balance my checkbook. He's like, oh no, I've spent money like over here. Like has to run over and like make sure that there's money in that account to pay for that. Oh no, I've done some online shopping over here. Like gotta go over there, cancel those orders. Like
Oh,
we've got to stay
I
in
didn't
budget.
tell you about my 4th credit card.
no!
His credit score's dropping. If that credit score gets below, gets below a 600, I'll murder everyone in your family. Now, excuse me, I've got to go to Kohl's.
No, not Kohl's. That's how they get you.
Do you know you
They
can
get
get
you.
in-store cards?
It's the Kohl's cards. No.
That is how they get you.
Ah.
Good
All right.
question.
All right. What else have we got on this list? We got a lot of questions on here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go down here. What are your top 3 favorite things about Worm?
Mm.
Describe your answers using up to 3 sentences, but preferably less.
Also, are we saying who these questions are from? Specific patrons? I feel like they should get call outs.
Yeah.
That's Waldo. Thanks, Waldo.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
If you were
I haven't
wondering
found
where
you yet,
Waldo
but I
was,
appreciate your
he's
contribution.
in our Patron.
We found him.
Yes. You know what? I'll do you one better, Waldo. I'm going to give you 3 words. 3 favorite things about Worm. Might be a little vague, but here we go. Character, powers, development.
It feels like character. I don't
Yeah,
know.
character and development.
Characters meaning like individual people I find fascinating.
Mm.
You don't have to
Development
explain
just
it.
means development just means broadly how they change over the course of the story.
Fair enough.
It's a
And then
haiku. Let
powers
him
are
figure it out.
powers.
It's funny, I literally said the
Worm
exact
is
same thing.
very good.
Yeah.
I enjoy the powers. Shit. Couldn't give it a 7.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Length, systems,
Girth.
powers.
Sorry, you said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What do you mean by systems? You just mean like the way the world's set up and everything?
Like the power
the way the
systems.
world's set up, the thought put into how everything operates.
Yeah.
And relatively cohesively. I mean, we just talked about how do you keep the world financial situation from collapsing. There's an organization that looks out for that. Precogs bounce off of each other, so they like kind of negate each other. And then when you ultimately get to how powers work, period, it's an all-explaining system for literally every universe ever.
Yeah,
Right.
we've talked about this before. Yeah, I mean, I would just say world building in general would be on my list. But like, Wildbow does this thing where he takes the easy cop out that everyone reading the story is like, oh, it's fine. It's a superhero story. They had a power that did the thing. It's cruel. It's superheroes. And said, no, here's an actual answer. And like gave an actual, like, well thought out, viable solution to a lot of really common tropes and issues with superhero stories. Like, it just feels good to read it.
It's the perfect explanation between hard fantasy and soft fantasy, right? Where this is the ultimate of hard fantasy, where it is, no, we've explained the system and here's how it works.
Yeah.
Stuff like Mistborn kind of does that too, in a sense, where it's like, here's the system, here's how they work, here's the chemicals and exact measurements you need to make them work. Versus like soft fantasy, like Lord of the Rings or Narnia, where it's just like magic.
And then there was
don't think about it.
The vibes were there.
The vibes. And so I think, it's a really cool way. And superhero stories tend to be more on the soft side of like, how do you get powers? Nuclear. Spider. Oh God.
What's a spider?
It's just like,
Lightning.
Whatever. I'm sure there's probably some Marvel and DC people out there who could tell me more on the specifics of how it works.
No. Because I think you're right.
Person.
No. I
but
think
it does
you're right.
tend towards. Yeah.
I think that most superhero stories are hard fantasy or sci-fi or whatever you want to call it, because they have an established set of rules and powers and dynamics for their character that they constantly break to the point that it's soft fantasy.
That's fair. Yeah. They make rules and then they decide they don't matter anymore. So then we end up with Worm, which is like, no, here are the rules. Here's how it works. Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I like how it's one of those things where you feel like if you zoomed in on any part of the story or any character, they have a whole story within themselves. Like if we were like, you pass this one guy on the street who happened to have, or you interact with some cape who happened to have this power, like, okay. But if you like zoomed in on them, I feel like there's a whole story there in and of itself. Like, I can't remember who it is who talks about this, but we were talking about like within animation, like animated films or animated shows, how you have like, if you look at the crowd in the background, oftentimes it's like very boring or it's like whatever. But is it Hayao Miyazaki's crowds are just so intricate. Like everyone is doing something so unique to their own little life that they're living. And they're only on screen for like maybe 5 seconds and then that's it. That's how Worm feels to me. Worm feels like you could zoom in on any detail, any building, any city, any cape, any person, and they're living their whole unique life right there. And we're only catching like a sliver glimpse edge of it, which is just like, it makes it feel very vast. Like Worm is already long, but the world feels just
Yeah.
vast to live in.
I think that's part of what I mean by characters too, right? Is
Yeah.
that I just really like the people in the story. Not
Yes.
necessarily how they change or grow, but just that's a cool character. You have him in one scene, right? Like Blasto is a random character who I'm
Yeah.
like, he's a great like little side character. He's in one arc,
Right.
one interlude.
And then he just kind of gets used.
Zombified by Bonesaw. But hey, it was a cool arc, and he
Yeah.
felt like a real person, even though that was all we got of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some cool stuff like that for sure.
I feel like the interludes do a really good job in doing that because you get to see the life of different people and whatever. Like even the dog interlude is so fun, and it's like
Brutus.
it's
That's one of the
Brutus,
best ones.
yeah, Brutus.
Yeah.
The Brutus interlude's one of the best ones.
It's so good. It's so good. Like
Yeah,
it feels so
absolutely.
lived in, and that's pretty great. Ugh. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you said characters. Also, on top of that, just real quick, Alan, sorry. The characters that you just love to hate or hate to love. Like you can't help but enjoy the characters, even the ones that you truly despise. Like, I love that. Like, that's great. Like, we're all drawn in. It doesn't matter if they're good characters or bad characters or whatever. Like, you can't help but like be invested in them and their story, even if you want them to die a horrible, horrible death. It's great. I love it.
That's the thing, right? About like good characters that you hate
Yes.
they're fun to hate, right? Like,
Yeah.
the example everybody goes to is Dolores Umbridge, where it's like, oh, such a great character. I hate her so much, you know, or
Yeah.
Sadius from the Stormlight Archive, where you're like, oh, what a great character. I want to kill him right now. You know, like he's well written to the point where you hate him and you're like, yeah, I want to kill that guy. And that is how it kind of feels with all the characters here, where it's like, you love them, you hate them, you feel whatever about them, but they're all great in their own unique little way.
Yeah.
What were you wanting to say before, Alan? Michael, did I just cut you off?
Nope. You're
Okay,
good. I was just
sorry.
going to move on unless Alan had
Yep.
something.
Okay.
Nope, same. I was going to move on to an
Okay.
adjacent.
We have a lot of
question from
questions.
Rachel,
We do.
which was favorite interlude.
From Rachel.
That's tough.
Favorite interlude.
Oh man.
Golly.
There's a heckin' lot of interludes,
That is
Rachel. I don't know.
a lot of interludes.
There's also,
I
can we
mean-
just also say favorite arc? Let's just lump them both in
Favorite
there.
arc and
Favorite
favorite
arc
interlude.
and favorite interlude.
I feel like my issue here is just going to be I don't remember what's part of one arc versus two
That's
arcs
okay.
or three arcs
That's okay.
even.
Right.
Yeah.
Sections.
Go off of vibes.
Story.
Yeah. Vibe it out.
I think generally one of my favorite parts of the story is probably the Slaughterhouse 9. I like a good villain trope. I think that's a fun kind of story trope. And so having, you have Leviathan, which is one kind of threat, but then you have the Slaughterhouse 9, which is a very different kind of threat. And so having that whole story arc, not like literal arc and worm, but the whole story arc of the Slaughterhouse 9, it's probably one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Arc wise, it's hard for me to pick anything other than Arc 8, the Leviathan fight, just because I'll never forget the first time I read it being like, oh, this is the type of story we're getting. And then like not being able to put it down for like 2 weeks and just that kind of launching everything. Even though I think when I like think about it, I think there's other arcs in terms of the story that I appreciate more, but like just for pure enjoyment, Arc 8 was such a ride. It was so good.
For sure.
I really enjoy, is it arc 24 maybe?
Sure.
The Taylor turns herself in arc.
Oh, yes.
Specifically the whole sequence of her like under arrest. The conversation she has with Clock Blocker, them just her killing Alexandria and Tag.
Her and her lawyer.
Like her and her lawyer, love
her
Mr. Kaye.
Yeah.
And then it ending up with her turning becoming on the good guy side. Like I loved that ride. It's who the moment she kills Alexandria and Tag, I
Mhm.
was like
Mm.
floored.
Yeah,
Um,
that is a good one.
I remember I like kind of vaguely remember having a like not a hard time breathing, but one of those times where you realize that you're like breathing
Holding your
really
breath.
weird. You're just like
Holding a release the
like
breath you
reading
didn't
something.
realize you were holding,
Mhm.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think generally one thing Wild Bow's pretty good at is getting tension going, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
with like thinking about the three we've mentioned so far, we've got the fight with Leviathan, which has great tension building.
Mm.
Probably, with the end of the Slaughterhouse 9 arc, that tension building of the pursuit and the school and trying to,
Oh.
the mist and everything was really
Ugh.
cool. And then yeah, her ending killing Alexandria in that arc, all like that tension building is so good there. It's really, really well written.
That's funny. I think probably one of my favorite arcs or series of chapters that go together is actually one where the tension is the lowest. I love anytime, like with it's specifically with the Undersiders or at the beginning with the Wards, where it's like you're getting into the groove of just like living life with your
Mm.
team. Like when the Undersiders are like they're all in their places and Taylor is like setting up her lair and getting her underlings all figured out. Like I love that kind of day-to-day aspect of villainy. And then when she's with the Wards, like I loved them like going to be on TV and like kind of the awkwardness of like, oh my gosh, these people were not made for TV. Like they're trying to save people. Don't put them on a talk show. Like all of this kind of like, okay, well you're a hero or you're a villain. Now what? Like I love that
Mhm.
those like little sections and arcs and chapters were always like such a good like downtime between all of those crazy high
Yeah.
tension that I really really enjoyed.
Mm.
Very nice.
Favorite interludes for you guys? Any particular standout ones?
It's
Oh,
always between the dog interlude with Brutus,
Oh yeah.
it's so
which
good.
I think is just a great example of how, despite like all of the other very human, but like different, how different each interlude is in its point of view, that he can even do Inhuman,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it just it's one of the things I always brag about is like he has a dog chapter early on, and it absolutely slays.
Yeah.
Um, my other one that I always go to though is the assault and battery like interlude.
Oh my
Mm.
gosh.
I
Yeah.
always
Yes.
That's a good one.
I always think
Oh
it's super
my
cute,
gosh.
and I always
Yeah.
Oh,
I kind of keeping with what I said before, I really like
art.
the Theo and Jack interlude. First
Yeah.
time Theo
Mm,
meets Jack Slash
that's a good one
is
too.
speaking of like good tension scenes, like that's such a good example of that tension where he's literally on the edge of a knife. Like
Yeah.
we might watch this young kid and his little baby sister die.
mm,
Uh, and it also ends up paying off a lot later, right? With Theo and Aster and everything, of course, with the Slaughterhouse 9 and Jack later. But even just on its own, that scene, I think, is just so illustrative of Wild Bow's ability to build tension, maintain tension, which can be hard, and then, kind of give you that sigh of relief at the end with
Mm.
still keeping it in the back of your mind when Jack's like, all right, I'll give you some time to figure yourself out and I'll come back for you. It's really, really cool.
It was a baller.
Yeah.
I got to give a shout out to Chevalier's interlude.
Mm,
Just
it's a good one.
it's a good one. I love it. I think I love the little flashbacks that we get to like early days of the Protectorate and
Mm.
and his whole battle through like his perseverance and then fighting Behemoth and the sort of just like sheer desperation that they have
Mhm.
is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to give a quick shout out to Coil and Pigott as well.
Yes.
Um,
Literally
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
thinking that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Getting to see Coil's perspective, the two universes collapse into one he
Yes.
doesn't want.
Love
Super
that.
cool way
Yeah.
to illustrate his power. And I think it's really the only way to illustrate his power is just like making him the focal point character, which was great. And then Pigott's, which, her origin story, getting attacked by Nilbog and all of that.
Yeah.
Just super
Yeah.
I love having, obviously we have the perspective most of the time of a powered individual. So having the perspective from an unpowered individual was really cool.
In the same
in that
vein,
scene.
the Travelers interludes before they power
yeah.
up was like really cool seeing them during an Endbringer fight just as regular
I love
humans.
those. It's
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
arc, isn't it? It's not.
Yep.
It's not an
It is
interlude.
an arc.
whole-
It's an
it's a
whole
whole
arc.
It's
That
an
is
arc.
It's an interlude
such a
arc.
good arc.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. No, I absolutely agree. That arc with the Travelers is so fun, and I have a personal hard on for the Simmer myself, but like I love her and how she just kind of like takes over a city and destroys it, and they're all just trying to figure shit out, and like the group dynamics of them, and like huge fan, huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Good question.
Okay, I have another
one question.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Michael, please.
Just a very interesting one. Another one from Rachel. The PRT operates in the 65 biggest cities in the U.S., which I've looked up for everyone, which those are. The question is, which city, besides the ones we already know about in the story, would you want to know more about? Like, what do you imagine is happening there, the lore, etc. We don't really have. It's pretty open-ended, and I have a list of the 65, so I'll tell you if it counts.
I'm pulling them up now.
I looked this up
bottom.
earlier also because I was curious. Looking at this, one of the ones that stood out to me just out of curiosity is Phoenix, Arizona. What are them desert capes up to?
Probably, I was gonna say probably some pretty evil scorpion themed villains out there.
Well, right, some scorpion themed villains. I'm imagining like sandbenders. Like that was a thing in Avatar as well, sandbending. As a form of earthbending.
That'd
right,
be brutal.
Oh my
sand.
God.
I mean, I
Right?
think at some point there is a sand
Like a
blasting that
Shatterbird
happens.
basically does that.
Yeah.
with the glass
rough.
and the small part. Ooh.
The glass.
Well, because she
Okay,
can do it
I've
with
got
the
to ask
sand.
though.
Yeah.
I've got to ask because out in Arizona, you know that there's a cape named Tumbleweed. What is their power?
Oh gosh.
You know what I want them to be? Here's what I think they should be. Tumbleweed would be a cape who basically turns into Katamari Damashi. If you know the video game, which is basically they turn into a ball. In the game, you are rolling a ball that sticks to things, and you're trying to make the ball bigger by rolling up more and more stuff.
Oh, it's one of those. That's like one of those weird mobile game things.
It's older than that, but yeah, it's a great game. But the whole idea, right, is you're like basically he's a guy who like rolls around. He collects energy, but he collects like debris and people and anything he runs into. So he's just like a rolling ball rolling down the road, collecting bits of things.
No, I think that's perfect.
Like that.
That's perfect.
If I was going with an actual tumbleweed, like closer to what a tumbleweed does, I would think that he has a power kind of like Spree, where he just can start. You know what? We'll even add the rolling feature. Like he can start rolling, and as he does, like just a bazillion more of him appear. And just crowds an area. Like they're really light, they're really easy to like push out of the way, but there's
like
so many of them.
Balls.
Yeah.
I just gotta say,
Speaking
I'm looking at this list of cities. You said operates in the top
65.
Yeah.
Speaking of big cities, though, we don't hear much about in Worm proper. Atlanta is a pretty major city.
Atlanta's.
I mean, it's 37 in terms of population, but you know, socially, it's a bit bigger than that.
Yeah. Also, like Atlanta's probably one of the bigger cities on that list that's closest to me. Like, I would love to know Atlanta's. Yeah, like just to kind of see what's up with the Southerners. what are they up to?
I mean, we get a peek of them, right? We get some Texas words, and they're all like,
"Yeah, you did get some
Texas big here, and this here's long shot."
Texas is its own space.
That's true. Atlanta's a bit different, right?
Oh
Have
yeah.
a different vibe.
Yeah.
Alongside the like near Texas side, because we've seen Texas teams, I would actually go Wichita, Kansas.
Any of those like Midwestern states, yeah. Like, what are they doing out there?
Well, Wichita, Kansas, number 51 in terms of population.
Okay.
Wichita, Kansas.
I think that would be an interesting one because you've got a lot of the cowboy stuff going on out in Kansas, and also a lot of room to do a lot of destruction. Plus, Kansas gets hit with like a ton of different natural disasters as well.
I was about to say it would be like the natural disaster area.
And they
You
get
do
a
a lot of like
occasional blizzard.
rescue and
Trains are a big
aid.
thing out there, so maybe some train themed powers.
There you go.
Yeah.
Who's the train, the ghost train conductor from Rick and Morty, right?
I think it's Ghost Train. Isn't he Ghost Train?
Ghost Train?
And then my second one would be at 55, Honolulu, because why not go?
That's what I was gonna say.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Fun.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that'd be so fun.
Is there any in Alaska? Is Alaska on there at all?
Hannah, I imagine the entire
in the
population of Alaska would not make it into the top 65.
Look,
populated cities.
But you know that there are some capes out there.
Here's what it is, right? It's this it's gonna be this single native Inuit chief who just protects all of Alaska.
I love it.
That's his domain.
I love it. Gosh, now that I'd read a whole book on that.
I have to say, looking at this list, assuming it's correct, if they're in the 65 largest cities, 66 is Newark, so get fucked, New Jersey. No capes for you.
No protection from the PRT.
No, I just imagine the PRT's like, do we need one in Jersey? They're like, no, we got one in New York.
Yeah,
like,
it's right
fine.
there. Like, it's basically the same
there.
place, right?
Yeah.
I would love to see now, but for this to work in my mind, the entire story of Worm has to take place in the 1920s. But if that were to happen, then New Orleans would be a really cool Cape City.
So much
1920s
fun.
New Orleans.
Yeah. Like Prohibition New Orleans.
Gosh.
Come here, see?
Oh, I love that.
See, you've got some of that alcohol on you, see?
No,
getting ready for you.
Don't you know you're an underside of territory, old sport?
Yeah.
Old sport.
Now coil me, old boy. Don't think you can go splitting worlds on me again.
Oh my God.
Coil me, old boy, is what I say to my... No.
I mean, when it's deflated, you got to do something with it.
Miami would be hilarious too. Miami would be hilarious.
Miami's right up there with like the
great.
Las Vegas capes, except there's nothing subtle about them. It's just ripping cocaine and wearing sunglasses.
So if Miami would definitely have a villain called Florida Man, right? And Florida Man's ability is like a duplicator. But he can like duplicate himself anywhere within like a 500-mile radius, so he's all over Florida. You know?
I like that.
So all the articles about Florida
it's just one guy.
All the same guy.
One guy.
Oh my god! So it's an Oni Lee situation where every time he does it, he gets a little bit stupider.
I just had the thought because Messi plays in Miami, right? For the soccer Miami, whatever professional team there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a different league in soccer for parahumans?
I don't think you're allowed to play.
Oh my gosh! What's
Mario
that?
Right?
I'm imagining like Shaolin soccer. Like there's a movie like that,
Shaolin
right?
soccer.
Yeah.
Shaolin soccer. Yeah.
Yep. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Heck
yeah.
There's got to be a parahuman sports league.
There's got to be a parahumans
Come
Olympics. There's got to be an Olympics.
The Paralympics.
They come in afterwards.
But no, I do like. There's got to be a parahuman sport. Like maybe it's made just for them, right? Like it's it's like a super aggressive version of rugby or something.
It's dodgeball.
I think it's just called crime fighting.
It's just called
crime fighting.
It's any endbringer.
Yeah.
It's any endbringer fight.
You know what it is? There's a series that I read the manga for briefly called Tiger and Bunny. And part of the premise of that is like you're a superhero, but it's like you're a professional athlete, right? You're trying to get sponsors, and you're trying to be like, you get points in the game system if you're the one who catches the villain, or if you assist or rescue people on the side, right? So you're like, there's different tiers of heroes. Some of them are just supports, and they're like, I'm just here to rescue people who happen to get in the way, and I'll get my points that way. But the whole premise, right, is like you wear suits and you have like sponsorships on your body, like NASCAR and stuff. So I imagine
Nice.
there's got to be a city that's monetized the PRT like that, right?
Yeah.
Where like
Fun.
Uber and Elite live streaming, except they're
Oh, yeah.
rescuing people instead of, robbing
Right.
gas stations. And so, it's like, hey, this crime stopping sponsored by Raycon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And
gotta
the
be
only way
one.
I was able to catch up with you is because of these Vessies I was wearing.
Yeah.
All right.
Good
Anyways.
question, though. Very fun to
Yeah.
think
Fun
about.
question.
Hannah, do you have a question?
Oh, I was just
I don't
gonna
know if you've asked
ask.
one yet.
I was gonna ask. Hold on, I had it right here. Which this was a Rachel question again from Rachel. Out of all the powers in Worm, which would you like to have for yourself?
Are we excluding the god powers? No Eidolon?
Sure, whatever.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's Golden Path to victory.
Yeah,
Let's
do we
go.
want to?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, do we want to exclude like Scion, Eidolon?
Okay, well,
None of
I guess
the
my
obvious choices.
my
Yeah.
twist on Rachel's question is more of like, okay, so when you sit around with your friends as you do, and you're like, oh, if you had a superpower, what would it be? And then what would you say? And then which one of those closest matches to a cape within Worm? Because my favorite, I don't feel like I've found. I actually might need help.
What
with
would you
this.
want, Hannah?
So my
would you
my
want?
power that I would love to have is
Tell us your deepest desires.
I want wings, like big feathery black angel wings, So I want to fly, but I want to have to work for it, Like I want to have to flap for it, basically. Is there a feathered winged person?
I mean, the closest analog would be the Simurf, I think, right?
Well, maybe
Yeah.
She
that's
doesn't
why I
use
love
her
her
wings
so
to
much.
fly,
No,
technically.
technically she doesn't.
But
like
Canary
just-
has
which
wing
I just
little
imagine too.
feathers in her
Canary
hair.
has
That's about it.
feathers,
Yeah.
but she sings. She doesn't fly.
Which I do want to imagine the Simurf flying is like, it's like a still image JPEG being dragged across the screen.
Yeah.
Like that's part of why it's so disturbing is you're just like, oh no.
It's like when you take the image and you make it bigger, and it's like her just coming closer to you. Just
Well, she does kind of like flippy flap her wings a little bit.
She
but
does,
They're
but
not actually. They're decorative.
more as an attack than like
Yeah.
functionally flying.
It's a
I don't think
psychological
there's a
attack.
winged. I'm trying to think. I mean, granted, there's like
I feel
200
like-
capes, but I don't think any of them
I
are.
feel like if there were, it
Oh.
would be a cauldron cape because it's like such
Yeah.
it's such a like an
Yeah.
actual deform. Not I don't want to say deformity, but like it is. Your body
Yeah.
is now has these giant
addition.
freaking wings attached to it. You have an addition to yourself.
The only
New
people
limbs.
that even have non like wings on things, I believe, is dragons mechs and
Yeah.
the glass person, Shatterbird with her glass wings.
Yeah, Shatterbird has glass wings.
That's it.
Does
those are-
Lung grow kind of
Lung grows wings.
something?
Oh, he does.
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
He
Lung
does
grows
grow
wings
wings.
eventually.
Right, you're right.
That's true.
Marquis
Bold
has
break.
bony wings as well that he can fly with.
Which was really weird. I
random.
still
Yeah, that
don't
was a
buy.
little-
Very
whatever.
Filigree wings, I guess you might call them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
As
You
a
want to
kid,
just
there
be
were-
Angel from the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. That is correct. That is
your
what I want.
hollow bird bones.
Yeah.
So there's always
Yeah.
two ways to answer this question, which is if you're in Worm, whose power would you want? And if you're living your regular life
Right.
and you just get a power, whose
Yeah.
power do you want? And those are very different answers.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if I'm living in Worm and I would get a power, I would still want something not too attention grabbing, maybe. Like honestly, whenever that question comes up, like what superpower would you have? One that comes up for me is teleportation. And I think the closest analog we have to that is probably Trickster. But genuinely, I think one of the best like underrated powers is probably coils. I've said it
Mm.
a
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
Like if I could
Oh,
have
yeah.
a worm power, Coil's power is probably the one I'd pick.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Just because the idea of like even just a simple example, right? Like let's say tonight, we're recording the podcast, but I'm not feeling it that much. I can be like, you know what? One universe, I'll record the podcast and that'll be the one I save. In the other universe, I'm going to tell them I'm sick and I'm just going to dick around for 3 hours. Nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's just
sure.
it's this
Yeah.
great have your cake and eat it too power. Like in Worm and out of Worm, I wouldn't use it for fighting crime or doing crime. I would
No.
literally just use it to like watch 2 TV shows at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Like, oh man, like dang,
Yeah,
it's such a cool power. I think that is almost always my pick for that.
It's such a good one.
Um,
Yeah.
Otherwise, Tricksters does sound. No, actually, otherwise, I'd say probably Tricksters for fun, just because it sounds fun, or Tattletales. Like again, another power that's like,
Ooh.
Tattletale's super
do you want to know a
practical.
little too much? It
Yeah.
could be very useful.
Mm.
In the
I
same
do-
vein, I love Othello's power. It's so simple and like super practical, and just sort of having like just a shadow self to. He's got a shadow version of himself that can walk around and interact with things, and then he can swap places with it. So it's like not really teleportation, but
It's like the invisible butler spell in D&D.
yeah, literally, that's
Yes.
that's what it is. Yeah,
Unseen
Yeah.
servant, I think
Unseen
it is.
Yeah,
servant,
unseen
yeah,
servant. Yeah.
and then being able to switch places with your unseen servant. Yeah.
I think that would be a fun thing to do at some point, is trying to figure out how many of Wildbow's superpowers are actually just analogs for D&D spells.
Just D&D. Yeah.
Probably more than we think.
It's all of it, actually.
It's just
Love
all
it.
of them are just D&D
Art
spells.
gets art.
Yeah.
Love it.
From a child bouncing around on a trampoline, my favorite power that I used to play in Champions was a character named Conduit. And the whole thing was just energy transference, which we have that in Worm. It's Madcap.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
You can
yeah.
literally hit him and he can
Assault.
just transfer it into the concrete. Like as long as he's
Yeah.
touching something.
Battery?
Assault, yeah.
Assault.
No, that's assault. Yeah.
No, it becomes assault.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, but yeah, you can put energy into him. So like the idea of like you shoot a bullet at him, like if he's touching something, he can just transfer the energy of like the bullet hitting him into something, or keep it temporarily stored just a little bit in order to like boost himself. Hence,
Right.
like punching him, and then he can like kick off a wall and jump super high
Yeah.
Right.
because he can take that stored energy and put it into stuff. Which
Is that like when
would
you
be
double
exactly-
bounce people on the trampoline? Is that
Yeah.
where
That's
that's
exactly
coming
what
from?
it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh.
you see the line of thinking.
I got
Yeah.
such terrible whiplash from people who used to do that. I
Yeah.
hated people like you on the trampoline.
Well, we were going for it when we were kids. Um,
You're really trying
the
to get him
other
up
one,
there.
when I
Yeah.
grew older, was just like, yeah, I just wanted to know the best thing to do. Obviously, like I don't want it to be flashy. I just want to know what the correct answer is, like in a
Aw.
situation. And it's like, oh yeah, because it's what King Solomon asked for.
Oh my gosh, for wisdom.
Except,
Oh
except,
my
Wisdom.
god.
except he didn't ask enough.
He
So-
didn't get enough wisdom.
Yeah, he
needed
didn't
more
get enough
wisdom.
wisdom, and I was just like,
More
Chump-
wisdom, please.
yeah, Chump just
Sorry.
didn't have the right wisdom. And that really was like, I'd be sitting there like, I want the superpower that's like, what is it when you do like, you know what to do, like the exact right thing to do in a situation? I was like, wisdom, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
no.
Contessa.
Yeah,
Golden Path.
Contessa,
Contessa.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, Hannah, don't want to miss it. I did understand that reference.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would
Only-
probably say the number man, just so I can be rich all the time.
Oh, that would be
Easy
really
one.
nice.
Yeah.
Really
Also,
nice.
not that option,
You
right?
guys could all be rich with me. It'll be fun.
Yay! This is
And let's not
this is when we
forget-
get the giant mansion together, right?
Yeah,
We all
yeah,
live in the
exactly.
mansion.
And also, like being rich was like what he did when he was bored, but the dude
Yeah.
was also one of the strongest fighters in the world. So
Yeah.
like, pretty
I
good
forgot.
power.
It's
Yeah.
a good one.
There we go.
He
Covers
does
double bases.
the being rich so that he has money to play around with,
Yeah.
the same way other people get a gym in their home.
Right.
Yeah.
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 That'd be sweet.
I think the question, the more meta question would be, Wait, Jacob, did you choose a power? I'm sorry, I don't know if I
like Othello's power. I like legitimately.
Oh, Othello, you said Othello.
Or
yeah.
I mean,
think the question.
or a heartbreaker. I'll be honest. He's so easy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a spooky power.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's perfect though, because what I was going to ask is, what are the odds that having the power we chose turns us into an asshole? Because I feel like there are some powers, like coils,
I
I'll
was
say,
gonna
or
say
like
coils
heartbreaker,
probably. Yeah.
where it's like you start
Oh.
to realize I can kind of do whatever I want without consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at what point does that just turn you into a terrible person?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mine's just flying.
I would.
So.
Hannah, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're-
Yeah, but
Okay.
okay,
You're just-
so you're,
it's
you're
okay.
flying up
I like a
above, you're with
bird.
the birds, you're like, man,
Yeah.
I could shit on that dude's car, I wouldn't even know.
Oh, man.
Not what I
You
would
see a
want.
Cybertruck, you're like,
Absolutely.
oh yeah.
The
would
sky
just-
shitter strikes Brockton Bay again.
Just straight full trowel. Let's go in the sky.
Just like I have shotgunned some Taco Bell burritos. I'm locked and loaded, baby.
No, we'll
I'm
go
imagining-
a step down. Del Taco. You got some
Del Taco.
No.
Imagining some
I got some
local.
burgers from Del Taco.
That is dangerous.
Loaded for bear.
Like local TV news journalist trying to make it big, trying to solve the mystery of the birds with human shits. Just like
Because that's the other thing. It's like they'll never find out. They'll just think it was a big bird, and it's just like a white blurred splatter, and then it's just a big brown.
Oh, okay. I actually know how I could use my powers for semi-evil. I would just find out who the biggest fans of Mothman were and try and do like sightings and like
Try and convince them Mothman is real.
there you
oh,
go.
absolutely.
Become
Absolutely.
Well,
the
then, would
biggest
you want
cryptid.
butterfly wings instead of
no.
angel wings?
Oh no.
Okay.
No. Because it
Well, then
doesn't
they
matter
wouldn't-
what you see. Your brain is gonna assume that it's what you think
That's
it
fair.
is anyways.
That's fair.
That being said, I
Right.
have seen the Mothman, but we can move on. It's fine.
I've
Alan
seen
and I
him too.
both.
He's a great Fallout character.
Alan and I both. Late one night
In-
on a very quiet road in West Virginia. It was terrifying.
nice.
Right before we
let that
found
be a
out what the
lesson.
Mothman was, too.
We didn't know who the Mothman was
Ah.
at the time. That's a
We
whole other
had
story.
that, and then like 30 minutes later saw like Mothman Museum.
Yeah, and we were like,
Subscribe
what?
to the
And looked it up.
Patreon to hear the full story. Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
full story on Patreon.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Another question.
Let's remember to actually do that, by the way, because I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
promised.
No, I'll remember because I want to tell that story. So.
Okay, write it down.
I've got a question. If we want to,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah, go for
give
it.
a treatee their question.
Yes.
What would you want to see more of? Interaction, backstories, power exploration. And in parentheses, they added, I would have liked more downtime of characters just hanging out like a certain arc in Ward. Now, I haven't read Ward, so I'm not going to comment on that. But I do think for me personally, the thing that I feel like was missing the most was the time skip. Taylor's time with the Wards.
Yeah.
I just need more of them hanging out and getting to know each other.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's some great characters in there that we just don't get to see enough of, and I think that's to me it felt like Wildbow had a point A and a point C, and he just wanted to get through point B as quickly as possible. Like he had to do it for plot reasons, but just get through it as quick as possible. Hit the highlights, move on. So I think something like that, a bit more of that. I like the Wards too. I mean, Theo's great. Who else? Tecton is great.
Yeah.
Those
I do
characters.
Vista.
love them.
Vista.
Yeah.
Well, Vista's not with them, but like Grace and
Well, the Chicago
whoever's
Wards
with those
specifically.
the
because
Chicago
of
Wards,
in
you know.
general.
I'm just thinking Wards in general. I would have. I mean, we
Wards
got
in general. Yeah, the Wards in
briefly
general
them
are great.
hanging out, solving the mystery of the Slaughterhouse 9 when they first rolled into town. They were like, "Hey, we saw these bodies," and immediately Victoria, who wasn't
Right.
there, but she was hanging out with them, like Slaughterhouse 9, like seeing them do that, seeing them hang out. One of them was coming out of the shower, like, "Whoa, what's going on? Just got done with the workout. You ready to go on patrol?" Yada yada.
Yeah.
Love all that. Them going to class. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
the class
That
was,
was fun.
them
all that,
talking after
yeah.
class. Love that. Love
them being in
Fugly
therapy
Bob.
with the best character, Jessica
So
Yamada.
much
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. More therapy. Fugly Bobs.
Fugly Bobs.
Oh yeah.
Could've-
Yeah.
And by
Yeah.
the way, Ward, we're excited because,
That's Nick.
That's
Yeah. Yeah.
all the things
Yeah,
I
I think-
love.
I think that's the biggest thing. Really, I feel like everything else was explained very well in universe, and we had
Yeah.
pretty much enough of. I can't think of anything else that I felt was missing except for that. That
Yeah.
it almost feels like part of the story got deleted
On
in a way.
accident. Like some dog stepped on the keyboard and was like, well,
Yeah.
In that vein, I would have liked to have seen more of just some of the stuff that we know happened, but we weren't told really about it because it's Taylor's POV and she just wasn't looking at it. So like Defiant and Dragon hunting down the Slaughterhouse 9. Like they kill Siberian off page. Like that would have been I gotta imagine that was a cool fight. I would have loved to have seen that, you know.
Yeah. Maybe they might have just airstruck. They might have sent in a drone strike to hit Manton.
Maybe that's why. Maybe it just wasn't that interesting. Maybe they just caught Manton walking out of Fugly Bob's.
They got Coil Sniper on the job, and he took care of it.
Yeah.
Oh, more of Coil Sniper, please.
More of Coil Sniper.
More snipers just killing
snipers.
Speaking of which, too, I do feel like generally, obviously, the story is very America-centric because of the location of all of the main characters. But the few capes that we do meet from other countries are super interesting.
Yeah.
The capes in India, I can't remember their names. And then Mord Nog and Ash Beast.
Yes.
Like, there are some super interesting capes in other parts of the world.
Heck yeah.
And we don't get to see enough of them, I feel like. And that's fair. Like, the story is American-centric. It's an American, I assume American author, or maybe he's Canadian. I can't remember. But
I assumed he was American.
For some reason, Canada came to mind. When
I think he's Canadian.
John, are you Canadian? Okay. Let us know.
Maybe.
Feels Canadian. The way he says Mark.
You feel Canadian.
But either way, just definitely more worldwide interactions. I did enjoy those a lot. But that feels more like a spin-off story, which, maybe, which I can only imagine not being from there would make it difficult to really make it feel as deep and real as Worm did. So, or at least from a similar culture and place. So, but yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah,
maybe there's some good fan fiction out there from
Oh, I'm sure there are probably. Yeah.
Foreign fans of Worm. So I'd be interested in reading that.
Please make your recommendations.
Can you imagine how cool the heroes from Australia would be and the villains?
Oh yeah,
people are constantly triggering, because of the everything trying to kill them.
The everything.
They trigger in the womb there in Australia.
They come pre-triggered.
Gotta come out fighting. Yeah,
they actually send them there triggered because
Yeah. I mean, wasn't correct me if I'm wrong, if my knowledge of Australia's history is faulty, but wasn't it a prison? Is like that's how Australia started.
That was the
penal colony.
So that's all.
There were other people who lived there too, but also that.
It got. Look, the British make choices.
Yeah, that's why it's the colony part of that penal colony.
Yeah. So in Worm, it's the same. It's just a prison for capes. That's what Australia became.
It's basically the birdcage.
It's the birdcage.
Try to leave the venomous bird in the air is going to get you. You try to swim, the poisonous sharks will eat you.
Yeah.
There's no escape.
Maybe that's where the birdcage is. The big rock in the middle of Australia.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. Yeah.
Some conspiracy theorists have theorized is actually a tree trunk fossilized, giant tree trunk.
Wait, really?
Apparently, yes. I heard that one time, and I was like, it kind of looks like it. I can see where they're coming from.
Oh, one of the
really
we gotta look at it.
The idea, anyway, this is a really big side tangent, but the idea is like anytime you see any of those structures that are like slightly raised, flat, it's like there's it's called like the giant tree theory that at one time Earth was covered in massive trees that all, got cut down or
it's called Uluru or Ayers Rock. Uluru.
Yeah.
It's really a fair bit of trees that harden a significant amount when they petrify.
Sandstone.
Hey.
Anyways,
never know.
That was really
Jason
random.
McRae
I'm sorry
is Canadian, by the way.
Confirmed,
he is Canadian.
He is Canadian. Confirmed Canadian. Okay.
Canadian.
Always knew.
It's the way he wrote about Chicago. That's very telling. Having never been to Chicago, I have no legs to stand on that front.
Yeah.
Michael, you were saying something about a bricky brick?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're done. If we're good.
Yeah.
Good on that question.
All right. A quick lightning round for us. What was your favorite Slaughterhouse 9 member?
Bonesaw.
I mean,
love her.
Bonesaw's the. I'll say Jack, but between those two.
Great boy.
I really kind of like Shatterbird.
Yeah.
Shatterbird.
Conceptually, Crawler, I think. Yeah.
Mm.
Crawler's a good one.
Yeah.
Just the idea of being unkillable, wanting to see what can finally do you in.
Just looking
Yeah.
up towards the sky as
Yeah.
the bomb comes down.
As the bombs come down. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My answer is Alan.
Alan.
Alan. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that his real
Yeah.
name?
Mannequin.
Yep,
Isn't that his
That's
Mannequin,
Mannequin.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mannequin's real name? Yeah.
I love Mannequin. I love the bio.
Yeah. Mannequin.
I think
I forgot about Mannequin.
cool.
they
I was
even
like, oh,
talk
yeah,
about Crawler when he's in human form from the clones and his name's something stupid like Edgar or something.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got. I'll look it up.
Edgar.
Of course.
Apologize to all our Edgars out there. Of
I was
course.
going to say Edgar and
You didn't
Alan are
mean it.
very.
Just thinking of Edgar Allan Poe.
Thank you.
Most underrated character, in your opinion?
Oh my gosh.
The answer,
Ned.
this sent in by
That's his
Rachel, is
real name.
Genesis, by the way.
Genesis.
Oh, Genesis. Genesis is so cool.
Crawler's real name is
You say
Ned, for the
Ned?
curious.
Ned.
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 Love it.
It's
Yeah.
short
Ned is
for
pretty
Nedward,
bad.
obviously.
Sorry,
Nedward.
Nedward. Yep.
Edward.
Underrated is hard.
That is hard. I feel like we get so much
Canary?
time with a lot of people. Maybe Canary. I do like Canary a lot.
I was thinking Canary. Yeah.
Canary
Yeah.
is very, very powerful.
For some reason,
Or-
Aegis comes to mind.
Mm.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Because, like, I would say, we will get to that in a second. But Canary is the straight man in my favorite Thundergun episode of Always Sunny. Fuck, guys, come on! You're gonna murder
Fair
someone?
enough.
Yeah.
I also really like Forrest, the non-powered
Forrest.
dad.
Yeah.
love
Dad man.
Forrest.
Forrest is a great character.
Camp counselor uncle.
Yeah.
Figure.
Charlotte,
Yeah.
Ugh.
Sierra,
Scarlet,
Oh,
Forrest, and
yeah.
Sierra. Just those
That whole
three
band.
great characters.
all of Skitter's underlings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
I know
top-tier
Jacob's
underlings.
favorite though. Skidmark.
Hey, Skidmark. Underrated. Great guy. Just
Big fan.
big fan.
Oh, I got it. The dryer at their house.
Oh,
Warm
Heating up the
blankets.
blankets.
Oh, the warm
Danny's
blanket. Oh, the
dryer.
Danny gets the warm
Warm.
blankets.
Yep.
Yep.
Danny's
Yep.
dryer.
Okay.
Real
I
answer.
didn't know where you were going with that, to be honest. I was like,
Yep.
That was great. I loved it.
Stretch.
Yeah.
Look, it made sense in my head. That's all that matters. Okay.
No, that's
yeah,
good.
fair enough.
Favorite. This says antagonist.
Oh,
Antagonist.
Lung.
Yeah, Coil and Lung are the two good answers. For sure.
I want more lung.
Yeah, long.
Yeah.
Or Lung would be great.
Yeah, long. Well, yeah. hmm
Hey,
More
honestly,
long,
it's Lung or
please.
Bonesaw.
Yeah.
More lung. More
Yeah.
lung.
Do
I
you
still
know
like
Amy's
Coil a bit
favorite
better.
antagonist is herself?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, maybe
That's what his
more
therapist says.
what's her dad's name? Oh my gosh.
Marquis?
Marquis.
Marquis. Yeah, more Marquis. I
Marquis
would
has
I
good
would
vibes.
give more
He
Marquis.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Marquis
More
is in the
Marquis
category of like
at work. Not his like smart politicking, but like him doing stuff, power stuff. I want
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like antagonists, like he's like in the Glasstig case where they're like not
Yeah.
quite an antagonist.
Not
They were
quite.
villains. They just
Yeah.
It counts. I think it counts.
He was
Yeah.
in the birdcage.
Okay, once again,
I slot
these
him
are
in under
antagonists.
Let's
more
stick with
Taylor is a
underrated.
villain and is our protagonist. Like,
Yeah,
Right,
that's
yeah.
true.
who is,
We got to go with the literary definition here of
I'm going with the
antagonist.
literary
Yeah.
definition.
Yeah.
Like, most
and,
of the heroes are the antagonists.
I was gonna
That's
say,
true,
to be
that's true.
fair, Arms Master before he becomes Defiant is a great
That's
antagonist as
true.
well.
And Defiant
Yeah.
sometimes, too.
And Defiant,
Yeah.
yeah. But for me, it's still Coil. I just think the cool, calm, collected, I always know what I'm doing and I'm gonna make it work villain is just a great trope, and he plays it really well.
Yeah.
Also, back up to the Slaughterhouse 9. How did I forget about Siberian? It's Siberian.
Eh,
Okay, yeah. No
It's a
worries.
fun villain with a good mystery. Anyway,
On that one.
the mystery.
There you
is
go.
good, yeah.
favorite character arc.
Ooh.
I think that there's two that I would say are probably my favorites. One is Theo. I think as a side character arc, his arc going from that interlude with Jack, which is one of my favorites, to becoming who he becomes, right? Which is sort of he's the reverse of Taylor, where he's willing to do what it takes, but he's not going to feel good about it. Whereas Taylor, not that she feels good about it, but in the sense of
Doesn't feel bad.
well, in the sense of like he feels bad about it, so maybe he won't be willing to do what it takes, right? He's still he hasn't totally lost his humanity to the whatever it takes mindset that Taylor has, and I like that foil to her. I also really like their name. Oh, Imp.
Oh my
Imp's
gosh.
got a great.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Imp is a winner.
I mean,
Winner,
to
winner,
think
chicken
that,
dinner.
like when you first meet Aisha,
Uh-huh.
and we talked about like some of the weirdness, problematic stuff with that, but just
Yes.
like we're like, I don't like this character. Like to becoming the character we know as Imp at the very end, who we all love. It's like it's a great redemption, so to speak, of like a side character that could have been easily just a side character and dismissed, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think outside of Taylor, which is the obvious choice for character arcs, but Rachel's arc is fantastic.
Oh,
Love Rachel.
Rachel.
Yeah. It's such a simple but very visual change that she has between beginning and end, and it's just great. It works so well. She's becomes trusting, and her transition from rejecting everybody to like being very loyal and caring for her friends is great.
Yeah.
That's true. She has a great arc.
Yeah. Go for it.
The same arc. From hero, I mean from villain, just wiping out towns and everyone gets really paranoid, to being like there at the end of the world at Gold Morning. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Look how far she came.
Yeah.
But no, Imp would probably be my real answer.
Yeah.
Gosh, I love her so much.
Yeah.
Cody.
Really, it's between Imp and Rachel.
Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not Taylor, then Imp or Rachel probably are the best ones.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't hear any love for Dragon Defiant.
I thought about
I love their
Defiant.
character arcs. I love their character arcs.
Just
I do
not
think
top.
I don't. Yeah, just not top.
Yeah.
But I
They're
do
A
really
tier.
love.
And they
not
have to go
S tier.
together too. Like,
Yeah. They're definitely, if we're putting like character arcs, right? Like S tier would be, of course, Taylor, then Imp and Rachel. A tier would like high A tier would be like Golem, Defiant, and Dragon. Even I would put like Legend and Eidolon up there maybe, as like some really interesting arcs, just in terms of, especially Eidolon being the the constantly struggling hero, finally cracking it and then failing at the end.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of those like Defiant and Amy, a lot of their arcs are very dependent on Taylor. Like they play off of her arc, whereas, which is fine. It's great. It's fantastic. But I think, like Imp and Rachel, they're their own characters in the story. They really feel like they're having their own arcs, their own stories.
As we wrap up into a few of our last questions. Actually, we've talked about our underrated characters. What's just your favorite character?
Oof.
Oh,
Chevalier.
that's hard. Chevalier is a good one.
Easy. No, actually, it's Armsmaster, Defiant, for me. Just in general, my favorite character.
Dang. Not Saint, Jacob?
Listen, Saint probably looks pretty cool. He probably has a cool haircut. And I probably want to take fashion advice from him. Listen, don't interrupt my headcanon.
Sorry.
Okay. In my head, he's got a really cool haircut. He's got some cool glasses. Yeah. He's got a cool aesthetic.
Nice.
I imagine he has like thunderbolts shaved into the side of his head.
Yeah, definitely.
No, his name's Saint, right? He's got sideways crosses that swoosh into the back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
you know he does.
That's rough.
You know he does.
No, it's definitely a goatee in the shape of a cross. Like comes out.
Gosh.
Ow.
Yes. Fantastic. I don't know that I could pick a favorite character. Sheesh.
It might still be Lung for me.
Yeah.
Lung's pretty good.
That's a good
Lung's
character.
Just so cool.
He's very cool.
Also
Cool
triggered in a
dude.
pile of cocaine. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know. Like, from origin to like him fighting like the Endbringers
just
by
crushing it
himself.
all the way through.
It's great.
Yeah.
He's freaking awesome.
Triggered in a pile of cocaine and been riding that high ever since.
Yeah.
He just
He's
wants
never
to
come
have
down.
sex and eat food and fight. And it's just
And if the world ends, I can't do that. So
exactly.
Good motivation.
Honestly, the most human response to powers.
Yeah.
Yep.
The real main character.
I mean, up until his death, Coil's definitely one of my favorite characters. And beyond that, probably it's kind of an amalgamation of people. I like Taylor's hero friends, and by that I mean specifically Weld and Tecton and Golem. Like those three, I don't feel like I could call them my favorite, but those three in the brief roles that they play with Taylor, I really like. Every time Weld was on, I was like, yeah, I like this guy. And same with Tecton, same with Golem. I was like, yeah, I like these guys. Like, they're cool. So
yeah.
I really love Clock Blocker. From the
how could I
very
forget?
beginning. He's just
Oh my God.
he's so funny and he's so fun to be around, and like him in the bank heist is just such a barrel of laughs, and the echidna fight, him and Taylor working together, him not even necessarily know. Like I love that. I love it so much. Clock Blocker is such a great, fun character. Just like to be around, to interact with, and to have in a fight is just so much fun.
No, for sure.
I really love Dragon. I think Dragon's a really fun character in general, and like her changing and growing and trying to push her limits. I think, I mean, I've said this for a while, but like Glassig Wenye is probably one of my favorite birdcage capes. I love her power. I love kind of the way back when she's before Gold Morning, she's still very like that high priestess, like the fairy queen, and I love that like fantastical kind of mentality in space, and the way that she like commands all her little ghosties. Like,
yeah,
gosh,
super cool.
gosh, so many good characters. Damn.
yeah.
I'll say that for now.
It's like I feel like the easy out for me is like Number Man. It's like these are all powers that I've come up like played with as a kid. And then like I saw them written down and I was like, oh, that's it. Leviathan's Water Shadow is like
it's so cool.
a concept that I used to goof around with in my head in the pool and couldn't explain.
Right.
And then he wrote it down on paper. I was like, that's it. Oh my gosh. Somebody put it in.
Yeah.
Number Man is easy, good one. Contessa, obviously. Who doesn't love Carmen Sandiego with guns?
It's true. Wood.
Wood. Yeah.
Thank you, Jacob.
And that's the tough part is you got to separate the woods from the just being cool.
Damn.
And sometimes it's a blurry line. Because, like, I mean, of our main people, Tattletale.
Oh,
Mm.
I think she's got a really
Lisa.
fun arc. I think I would really enjoy hanging out with Lisa, and but I also really like the power and
Yeah.
and what she does with it. If we were going like a little bit less popular, Narwhal.
Oh,
Because first off, Narwhal
love
Book Club.
Narwhal.
Yeah.
It's true.
Second, cutting people with uh with like force fields. It's
Yeah.
something we've all
It's
thought
pretty
about
cool.
before.
Yeah.
And she could do so many cool things with them, including the bookmark.
Mhm.
And
Love the bookmark. Oh my god.
Yeah.
also,
that's
like,
great.
you
It's
know,
for real.
as Jacob
Narwhal's
said,
Book Club.
wood. So
Yeah. If
Yeah.
we ever need a rebranding, like to appeal to a wider audience, I feel like Narwhal
Narwhal's-
Book Club.
Narwhal's
Yeah.
Book Club. That would be
Narwhal's Book
so
Club.
fun.
It'd be like
Gosh, and
such
the
a deep
artwork
cut,
we could
but
do for it.
you know, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
We
Yeah.
could make that a Patreon tier somehow.
And
Oh, I
Narwhal's
love
Book
that.
Club.
Narwhal's Book
Yeah.
I
Club.
love that
Yeah, there
so
you go.
much.
Just for
maybe
an
that's
excuse
what
to make
happens when we
merch.
grow beyond Worm, you know?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah. When
Yeah.
Brockton Bay is no more, what happens?
Yeah,
Yeah.
What do we
exactly.
call ourselves?
Narwhal
We're
is eternal.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool.
Oh,
And
yeah.
lastly, what was your favorite memory from reading Worm?
Or before you answer this, I'm just going to plug real quick. There's a lot more questions from our patrons. So if you want to hear more, we have questions like, is Taylor a good person, which we'll cover, and others. So come join us for more before we hit this last question. Favorite memory from reading Worm?
I've mentioned it a few times, but I think just the intensity of reading Worm for the first time for me when I got to Gold Morning is something I don't do that very often with books. I like books a lot. I read a lot, but I rarely find too many books that keep me up that late at night. And literally, as I've mentioned before, my favorite memory probably is just this. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I start reading it. I hit Gold Morning. I think I hit the platform, the oil rig scene,
Oof.
and I'm just
Mhm.
like, well, crap. I just got to find out what happens now. And then the rest of the night is a blur, and it gets to like I've got like class the next day. I've got stuff to do, and it's like 4:30 in the morning as I'm finishing the epilogues, and I'm like, oh my god. I did it. And just that feeling was just incredible. Totally a terrible decision. Do not recommend. But that feeling of needing to know the next thing really, really something I'll remember for a long time.
Yeah,
Mm.
I like that.
Yeah, to build off
For-
of that, for me, it's a lot of I'm just with who I am now and busy life and things like that. Audiobooks are just how I consume literature these days, and including Worm. In this reread, I listened to most of it, but there were still a couple moments where I was like, I got to sit down. I got to read this. I just like either remembering what was coming up or forgetting what was that was. There was a lot of amnesia, and just being like, regardless of how busy I felt, it was like I need to sit down and read this again, which is a really special feeling. I haven't really done that with a lot of stories in the last probably 4 or 5 years. So Worm is special.
Yeah, that says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I also a lot of this listened to with the audiobook and like literally sitting right here and working and just getting to sections where like that wormnesia hits and I know that what's about to happen is insanely important and like I'm crying and I'm just like the amount of times where I just had to stop whatever I was doing and I had to just like sit here or if I was in another room just like sit down on the floor and just listen because I couldn't do anything else but just listen to it and that like just tears just streaming and not knowing like I can't remember which fight it was, but it's one of the Endbringer fights. And it's right around the time when like everything is starting to go to shit. It's right around the time we're gonna lose Regent. And I was just bawling my eyes out. And I knew we were about to lose somebody, but I couldn't remember who it was. And that trying to reach for a memory and not being able to grab it, and the impact of all these characters. Loving them so much. Loving them so much and loving this book so much, and like not wanting to lose them and knowing that you're about to anyways. And like even like the shock factor on the first time around reading it, but the second time around still, feeling like I know what's gonna happen, but I don't. And like all of those moments rereading this again is just like it hits me, and it's just as powerful. Even if I do know what's gonna happen, even if I remember the exact details, like the impact is still there. And gosh, that's just been it's been such a blast. Golly. Oh, nothing like walking out of my office and being like, wow, that was a great chapter, passing a mirror and having just mascara in streaks just down my neck because I was sobbing my eyes out so hard.
Yeah.
And being like, oh my gosh. I sent you guys a picture of that, right? With the mascara.
Yeah, you sent the patrons.
Oh yeah.
The patrons got to see it too. It was great. Before Alan goes, since I didn't really read the whole thing, I've just thoroughly enjoyed my generally Sundays when I'm doing the editing the day before it's supposed to come out, and just cackling and laughter in my office, listening back to all the crazy stuff we've said and done. And it's been such a blast. It's always a highlight of my week, recording it and then getting to re-listen to whatever it was. It's so fun.
Yeah, I think I'm with Nick. Like early memories of rereading or of like reading this for the first time was just like I was at camp working, and just I had my Kindle in my pocket and I was reading it on that, just constantly, like anytime I had a free moment, just pulling it out, reading the next section, and going to bed and reading that, and staying up late because I just had to know. And it wasn't even just the end, it was the whole thing. Like every time I got to the end of an arc, I was like, whoo, but maybe I could peek at the next thing and see what comes up next. And by nature of the design of being like a web serial, everything's a cliffhanger, so constantly driving me to this hunger. My favorite memory this time is just how many cool characters there were. Like I knew they were before, but this time they're just really stuck in my head. Honestly, how cool they are.
Yeah.
And how many?
Such good characters. It's so fun. We could reread it like 5 times and still be like, oh wow, I didn't realize.
Something new every time. Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right. Well, this has been an absolute blast.
Ooh, so much fun.
Wouldn't have asked for a better group to reread this book with. Oh my gosh, this has been fun.
And we're not done.
I can't wait. Gosh, I can't wait to read Ward with you guys.
You already know my opinion. I love Ward more. I like Ward more than I love Worm.
Oh, it's interesting. It's interesting because you said it needs more editing than Worm, but you still like it more.
It just has more of the stuff that I like. Like it's not.
I see.
It's. We've talked about this before. I think that the Avatar is versus, Korra, comparison, where like there are so many things I love about the Korra series that work for me, and which is why I enjoy rewatching those episodes more. But same for Ward. There's just so many things in Ward that tickle my fancy, and I love those so much more. And Worm doesn't have it. Worm doesn't have enough Fugly Bobs. They do one Fugly Bobs, and that's it.
Is there more Fugly Bobs in Ward?
I'm no spoilies.
Okay.
All right.
This is your call to come read with us, join us.
Oh, please do. Oh, it would be so lovely.
It's time to reread or read for the first time Ward. And
always time to reread Ward.
All of us
Stay tuned.
especially YouTube. And then if not,
it would be so lovely.
You can still listen to us afterwards. But please come join the lives. It'll be really fun. And This has been a blast. What else do we say? How do we end this?
Stay tuned.
We're cool.
It's going to be a fun year, 2025. It's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
More books, more
So many
stuff.
books.
Thanks for all the
Michael.
support, guys.
Thank you for everything. All
Yeah,
of you
truly.
lovely, lovely listeners and viewers.
Especially our patrons.
Oh my gosh, our
Especially
patrons. Yeah, what
And fantastic.
What lovely peaches you are. Gosh.
You see how you can see these lights? How you can see us? That's because you keep the lights on.
That's true. It's true.
More stuff
All
to
right, guys.
come. Stay tuned. Michael, play us out.
We finished reading Worm and it's on to reading Ward. We're going to be live streaming every other week. Subscribe to our YouTube so you can get notified exactly when we go live, so you can come join the new book club format. We're really excited for the next part of our journey, and we hope you come along with us. So come join us as we read through Ward and become part of our book club. Thanks so much.